Hi, I'm Tamilla Palmer Perera, and I'd like to share with you something that's very much on my heart right now, which is about the new 12 Streams Education Center that we are beginning. I would like to start off with this thought. Have you ever seen someone walking down the street and said to yourself, I wish I could help that person right there? When God started to break my heart to think about others as equally important as myself, I began to feel differently about people. And whereas I was immune or insensitive to people before, I became very attuned to what was happening around me. And I've come to the point to where we must start this 12 Streams education nonprofit segment of our business. We've been making money through the for-profit segment. We've been having classes on campuses for students who tend to be more prosperous. We've been having opening up housing for international students. But in this new phase of our journey, what we're trying to do now is we really want to open up our hearts and mobilize teams of volunteers who are going to go out into the community and who are going to help students who we have seen on the streets. The first student that I would like to call to your attention is a woman named Manganika. She broke our hearts because she lives in Sri Lanka and she has a husband who worked far away from the home as a carpenter in many nearby towns and cities. Well, one day while her husband was far and away with very little money even to call home, Manganika became so frustrated that she did not have a mere $100 to pay a bill. And on that particular day, she just took her life and left behind two beautiful children and her husband, who was already doing everything he could to support that family. And when I heard about this, I cried because I felt like I would have been happy to give her $100. And I believe that many of you would be happy to help someone who is struggling. But one thing my mother always taught me is we have to teach a person how to fish is much better than giving them the fish. So we want to take what we have, which is the ability to teach students how to speak English and how to create products. And we want to help struggling wives create a source of income for themselves. They can easily cook certain food items that could actually have carts where they sell food to passersby on the street. They can make juices for them. They can have a juice bar. But if these people don't even know how to speak English to say $1, or if they get $5, here's your $4 change, and they don't even know basic English, it's highly unlikely that they're going to be doing very well in selling to the foreigners who come to Sri Lanka. The other person who I'd like to call your attention to is a student who is struggling only because there was an accident that happened in the field one day. This is another wife, and her husband was working in the field one day, at which time the co-worker who was standing right next to him was digging very deeply into the ground and swung the hoe back. And when he swung it forward, that hoe actually fell upon the gentleman's arm and cut his arm off. Immediately, that family lost 95% of their income. And when we heard about them, like I said, having already heard this has also happened in Sri Lanka, and having already heard about the Manganika issue, we immediately helped. And we've been helping that couple ever since. But once again, here is a wife and a mother who just needs a little bit of money and a trade and the ability to do something to help to support her family now that her husband has the inability to support that family. I don't have anything to give her except for English learning. That's the only trade that I have that I could give someone that can help them to make money. So I have written this book, Champion English, to champion the cause of students who might be forgotten, who might be overlooked, who you might see walking down the street. But someone needs to say enough is enough, and I'm willing to do something to help that Manganika, to help that disabled husband and wife who now has to go into the workplace. The third student that I'd like to call to your attention is a situation that happened to me when I was teaching in the public school system last semester. Basically, I was confronted with a classroom full of students from many diverse backgrounds. I'm talking Mexico, Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam, India, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras. And to walk into a public school classroom and to encounter students who had been in the classroom, the majority of them, for quite a bit of time that semester, that year, that school year, but they still couldn't speak English. Now that was shocking to me. And then once I saw their textbooks, I realized that it was so wordy and replete. There was no way that they could learn, because it's like trying to shove a piece of steak down a baby's mouth. And immediately I decided to put all the techniques that I had ever taught into one book with directions in multiple languages that could help these students to learn English very quickly. And I was blessed to see a whole classroom full of students with smiles of happiness, joy upon their faces. There is nothing that compares to taking whatever you have, God has given you as your gift and your talent, and helping someone who really needs what you have to offer. And I've encountered these students, and I see that they don't have gas money, they don't have bus fare, they sometimes can't even get to school. And I just said, I'll rent a bus, I'll get a bookmobile, I'll take it up into their communities, because I'm so passionate about seeing these students succeed. I would be willing to stretch myself out for them.